Hi, let's take a look at how to troubleshoot a hearing aid that either sounds like it's not working at all or sounds like it's too soft. Hopefully at home you have a listening tube, and the listening tube is super helpful because it allows you to do either a daily or a weekly listening check of your child's hearing aid so that you have an idea of what it should sound like most of the time. I use my listening tube by putting it in both ears and then putting the end over the end of the ear mold. And then I can take a listen and I can repeat the same phrases every time so I have an idea of how those phrases would sound. So I can say something like the ling sounds, ah, ee, oo, sh, s, or I could say sidewalk, baseball, hot dog, but just something so that every day I have the same idea of what those words or sounds should sound like through my hearing aid. If I've done that and I find that the hearing aid is not working at all or sounds quieter than usual, or if my child is reporting that the hearing aid sounds quiet or is not working at all, then I need to do some troubleshooting. The first thing that I would look at for a hearing aid that's not working is the battery. So batteries have a nice mnemonic, and that mnemonic is bad batteries bounce. So if I have a hearing aid that's not working, I'm going to take the battery out of the hearing aid and then I'm going to give it a drop from a couple inches above. If I drop my battery and my battery just sits there, I have a good battery. So the problem is not my battery. If I drop my battery and the battery bounces like that, I have a bad battery. Bad batteries bounce. So at this point, I would know this is a bad battery. I'm going to dispose of it. I'm going to go to my pack of batteries, open it up, take the sticker tab off, and then I'm going to wait 3 to 5 minutes. My battery needs 3 to 5 minutes for air to sink in there and activate the battery before I close it inside my hearing aid, or I might wind up with the same problem again where I have a dead battery sooner than I expected. Once I've checked the battery and either made sure it's working or replaced it, then I can move on to taking a look at the next part of the hearing aid that may not be working, and that part is probably going to be the ear mold or the ear mold itself. It might be a dome if you have a dome on the end of a slim tube hearing aid, or again might be an ear mold. But either way, you're going to look at the piece of the hearing aid that goes into the ear, and what you're looking for is debris that might be blocking the sound port, that little hole where sound comes out and directs it into your child's ear. That is very tiny, as you can see, and is very easily plugged with wax or debris. Once I see that, what I want to do is I can take a cleaning cloth or a wipe, and I can try wiping the end to try and remove that debris or wax. I can also use a baby toothbrush, or I can use a wax brush or a wax pick to try and clean any debris or wax off of the end. If I've tried both of those and I still am getting no sound or I have very weak sound, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the ear mold with its tubing from the hearing aid by separating these two pieces like that. So I have ear mold and tubing and my hearing aid over here, and I'm going to see what happens. Once I've separated those two, if I have a working battery, I should be able to cup this in my hand and hear it whistling and know that this piece is working, and therefore my problem must be this piece. If I had a working battery and this is still not working once I detach these two, then there's a problem with the hearing aid itself and I need to contact my clinical audiologist because this probably needs to go in for repair. If instead I've taken these two apart and I hear this part whistling, then I know that there must be a blockage somewhere in this ear mold that I just am having trouble seeing. So first I'll take a look at the tube itself. Do I see any holes, any tears? It's not uncommon to see a tear right where the tube enters the mold. That could be my problem. So if I see a tear, if I have tubing at home and I'm capable of doing that, I could go ahead and retube it, or I would call my audiologist to ask them to retube it for me. If I don't see a tear or a hole, then I'm going to put this in some warm soapy water with hand soap. I'm going to rinse it for a little bit. I'm going to clean it out. And then I'm going to hold it back up under the faucet so that water pours into the top, and I'm going to wait for water to then shoot out so I know water is traveling through the whole tube, and that I have a nice clear pathway again. Once I see water is able to shoot out, then I'm either going to let it dry on my counter for a couple hours until I don't see any moisture in here, or if I have a blower, I can blow any remaining moisture out of my ear mold. Once that's done, I should be able to attach these two pieces again, and my hearing aid should be working beautifully. Likewise, if I had a slim tube mold and I was getting no sound, if I unscrew the slim tube from the hearing aid and I hear the hearing aid working, then I know the problem is with this part. If I don't hear the hearing aid working, I need to call my audiologist. If I do hear it working, then I can either try and clean that slim tube with one of these little pipe cleaners that you should have at home, or I could simply replace that entire piece with a new slim tube on the end. And you simply screw them on righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, just like any other screw goes on. And then hopefully you have a working hearing aid again and you're ready to go.